All right, and we are back again with a brand new episode of Another 24. I am your astonishingly handsome host, Torres Montez, and today I have a very, very special guest in the building. Now, this guest is walking the walk, she's talking the talk, and she is building an empire right in front of our eyes. I have the one, the only Miss Maya in the building. How you
Thank you.
doing?
Thank you. Thank you.
You doing good?
Yes, I'm good.
That's good. That's good. Thank you for being here first and foremost. So I gotta ask you, we in the city, we in Atlanta. How many properties did you see you want to buy?
Well, I came right into it starting to look for property in Atlanta. So my boyfriend's a broker, so I'm able to do that. And, I'm ready.
All right, all right, all right. You see anything good on the way here?
Not on the way. Actually, I was actually looking at a fourplex right around the corner. So,
Oh, nice, nice,
yeah.
nice. Okay, so I kind of want to start from the beginning. So you obviously have several properties under your belt. You're a seasoned investor. How did you get into that whole real estate world? Was that always something that you were interested in, or did it kind of happen on you?
In terms of investing in real estate, that wasn't always on my mind. My thought process was after college, get a good job and get my home that I'm going to live in. So the pivot from investing was more so when I decided I wanted to do more.
Gotcha.
So I've been in the tech space for almost 10 years now, and I do that full time working for Fortune 500 companies.
Nice.
So then I pretty much did the pivot where I'm like, I'm looking for something more in my life. And I know that I also was looking for additional income. And because my job requires me full time, I needed to do something that allowed me to have that flexibility.
Right.
So it was a good start for me to be able to look for properties, while I have a full time job. So that was kind of that pivot for me.
Nice, nice. So you could have done a wide variety of things. Why real estate? Of course, it's passive income, but there are other things that could give you passive income. So what made you choose real estate specifically? Because it could have been anything.
You're right. So what inspired me was I went to a women's event. It was called Women's of Value.
Shout out to them.
And yeah, and it was a lot of affluent women talking about things that they were successful in, and a woman was speaking about how her and her husband were investing in real estate and how that has changed their lives, not only financially but just has helped them grow and build their what they wanted for their family, and it increased their net worth. And they were talking about how a lot of African Americans, our net worth is zero,
Negative.
like right, negative. So I started thinking about, okay, net worth, what is that, and I started to wonder about real estate. And from there I set up like a one-on-one session with her to understand and get some advice. Because like I said, my initial goal was to buy my long-term home.
Right.
And I ended up pivoting when I asked her, do you think that I should start with buying my investment property first, or should I buy my long-term home first? And I ended up talking to her. Her advice was, right now, you are young, you're a single woman, you can live in an investment property. Do a house hack. Live in one of the units, whether it's a duplex, a triplex, a fourplex, and use the rental income from your tenants to live for free.
Nice.
And
nice. Shout out. That's great advice.
yeah,
That's a blessing.
that was a blessing for
Yes.
advice. And I told my realtor, okay, I'm switching from buying my house. Let me buy my investment property first. And that was the best decision I ever made.
Nice, nice. Yeah, shout out to her. I mean, that's
Yes.
yeah. I mean, because a lot of times we don't get that advice as African Americans, Black people.
Yeah.
A lot of people go with that your first train of thought, which is buy a house to live in,
Yeah.
because that's the only thing that we kind of see. But I'm glad that she opened, she expanded your horizons, because
Yes.
look at you now. All right, now you can have the goal to, of course, buy property. You can have the goal, you can have these big dreams, but there are a lot of steps
Yeah.
in between
Yes.
deciding to do it and actually making it happen. So what was some of your education into, you might have learned from the School of Hard Knocks like a lot of real estate investors do,
Yeah.
but what was your training, your education like when it comes to investing?
So I 100% agree. First is the mindset shift. So it's one thing to say you want to do something, but it's another thing to say that you believe that you can do something.
Amen.
And it's also another thing to do the steps that are going to be uncomfortable. And I remember the first time that I was, getting into it, I started to put myself in those spaces. So I remember Jay Morrison, he was having a corner class. And I went to his corner class to hear about, just what steps you could take. And the major thing was credit.
Right.
So at that time, I didn't really look at my credit. I had just graduated college. I had some student loans. And I realized that my credit needed to be improved in order for me to get into the right position. Right. So I bought the book, learned about how to improve my credit. And then the next steps were finding who can help me to look for houses that I want. So finding a realtor. So I was able to do that. And also building my mindset on how can I do that? There's a lot of different strategies in real estate, and it's important. There's not a right or wrong.
Right.
It's important to understand, who are you? What are you good at? What would you enjoy doing? So there's wholesaling, you can buy and hold, you can flip. And just knowing my personality, like I knew in what I was doing full time, I knew I needed something that was more passive. That was just a strategy that I was looking for. So I knew buy and hold ended up being what I wanted to do and what made sense for me. So it's about, just taking the steps to put yourself in position, tell yourself that you can do it, putting yourself in the spaces and learning from people that can help you, and then just going about and starting.
Right. I like what you said about, the other attributes that went into your decision as far as your strategy in real estate, because it's almost like your fashion. Like you can wear monochrome, you can wear statement pieces, and you can have, it's like real estate investing. You can invest long term, you can do short term things, and it's kind of tailored around what you want, your goals, and your personality. So I kind of like how you break that down, because I think a lot of people on the outside looking in, first of all, they don't know anything. So they don't know that, well, I mean, I have this type of temperament. I'm very risk averse.
Right.
So, but I can still invest in it. I can still invest in long-term buy and hold, or, whatever it is. Or, you know what, I'm willing to just, go for the quick check. I'm cool with being risky. I can fix and flip. But it's all under the umbrella of real estate investing. So that's cool. I like that. Now, when you started, you mentioned how, credit was important. So what are some other things that you maybe thought that you needed, but it turns out you really didn't need to start?
You don't need to know everything. So I'll talk about both. When it comes to credit, I started out, I think my credit when I first started out was like 600, six something. And I was like, no, I need to improve this. Right. I didn't have any credit history. Like I said, I just graduated college. I had some student loans. And I think I was like, okay, so how can I build my credit? And, I got my first credit card. It was like $300. Right. Yeah. But it was me learning, how do you utilize credit the right way?
Exactly.
Stay under utilization, dispute any late payments, making sure that, you're not going up to your limits, and just follow the rules of credit. Exactly. And like those are my initial steps. But you don't have to know everything. Everything is available to you nowadays online. Right. I mean, everything that helped me was on YouTube. Look up, how can I fix my credit? There's hundreds and hundreds of videos. So there's really no excuse. If you want to learn, just take the time to learn it. There's something out there that was going to tell you the steps. Cool. And then you don't have to know everything. I started out learning by listening to Bigger Pockets podcast on my way to work. Shout out to Bigger Pockets.
Shout out to Bigger Pockets.
They have, again, many different videos. You can learn from people that are doing all the different strategies. So first you got to learn, like you said, what actually fits for you, because there's not a one size fits all.
Exactly.
So, people are talking about wholesaling. They're talking about buy and flip. They're talking about, how they started out with little money, with more money, whatever it is. You're learning everybody's perspectives on what strategies it is and what you need to get started. Facts. But you don't need to know everything.
Right. Now, you mentioned Bigger Pockets. You mentioned doing a bunch of research, watching videos, and I think that is a great place to start. So you remember your first project. I'm sure, right?
Yes.
Your first investment. Okay. So even though you had that background in, all of the education, the research you were doing, what was something that your first project taught you that none of the prior research you did could have taught you?
Um, my first project taught me so much because it was very difficult. And I think a lot of people probably would have got deterred if that was like their first experience. It was just to give you a little background, my first property was a triplex.
Okay.
And that triplex needed a lot of work. But I just saw the potential in it.
Right.
Like I looked at the numbers and I'm like, if I could fix this the right way, the value is going to be so great. There's no other properties like this. I get to, comfortably live in it because it's all separate units. I'm like, this is going to be perfect if I fix it up right. So I saw the potential in it. And the first property, it needed a variance. There was a very difficult seller's agent. I couldn't find the right contractors. There was so many things. It was like right before COVID.
Right.
So a lot of things got delayed. I mean, it was a lot.
You had to cry, huh?
It was a lot. And my mom, shout out to my mom. She was like, she really supported me during it because she understood the importance of it. And, as I was going back and forth to the county office,
Right.
my father was like, is this something that you really want to do? Why don't you just go look for a single family home? Like, why don't you go a little easier route? And my mom's like, she don't have nothing to lose. Like if this is something that she sees the vision in, let her go do it. And so I did have that support. But it taught me that you have to be diligent for something that you believe in.
Amen.
There's going to be challenges. There's going to be, especially if God has called you to do something bigger than yourself. I'm the first person in my family to think about buying a triplex.
Right.
Right. So when you're crossing certain boundaries and certain hurdles generationally, it's going to be difficult. Don't expect it to be easy. Amen. But if you believe in it, you go through it. So I always said, like, as long as there's a will, there's a way. So there was one hurdle. Okay, what's another road that we can take?
Right.
I knew it wasn't going to be for me if that road is completely blocked.
Exactly.
So
yeah, I'm glad you figured that out. But you know what they say? One of my favorite quotes is, once you climb a mountain, you just see all the other mountains there that you need to climb.
Yes.
So you climbed that first one, and you came out of it not unscathed, but you learned a lot. You gained a lot of experience, stuff like that. So that's great. Now, dealing with contractors, I real estate investing myself, so trust me, I know. Some of these contractors, they shady, they don't show up on time, they halfway do the work, they got their cousins doing the work, they, whatever. But what were some of the horror stories with some, just janky contractors that you have?
I was able to identify janky contractors by getting multiple estimates.
Yeah.
So never go with your first estimate. When I needed contractors for my job, I got at least, and I probably overdid it. I would say you need maybe 3, but I probably did like 7 to 8 estimates because this is my first time.
Right.
And I had one contractor telling me that I needed at least 90,000. And then another contractor telling me I need only 20,000. So it's like, how do you know what's right?
Right.
And I think the difficult part was get recommendations if you can. I was starting off looking on Thumbtack and just trying to figure out how I'm going to find somebody. But if you can get a recommendation for somebody and see proof of what they've done in the past, it's really important. Get multiple estimates to see if their numbers are even making sense.
Right, exactly.
Don't just go with the first person.
Gotcha.
And then the good thing with the 203K loan is renovation loan, which is what I did, is the bank has your back. So, if you're starting out, that's great, because if a contractor decides they want to get up, the bank is going to sue them, right? So you can't, they make sure that you have all of the insurance that you need.
Right.
So I had that backing as well. And
There
it was
you
at
go.
the end, the contractor that I ended up using, he didn't do some certain things right at the end. And, I put in an email copy in the bank, like, these certain things need to be completed.
Mm-hmm.
They don't play about that.
Yeah.
So it's having that support as well.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. So what are some real estate red flags when you go in and check out a property? Say one of your agents calls you and say, hey, come check this one out. And the first thing you see, you immediately like, no, hell no. What are some of those red flags that you kind of have a system for?
I would say properties that everybody's strategy is different, but at least for me, if something needs a whole lot of work, if it's structural issues, I've considered properties with structural damage, and I've had to get out of contract. So structural issues are something to ideally avoid because the cost sometimes can outweigh the value of the property. You have to do your numbers, but I avoid that personally.
Right. So do you have a system to do your numbers? Is this pen and paper? You got a Excel spreadsheet? How are you doing it? What's your strategy like?
So when I first started, and I probably overdid it. And I started with pen and paper to understand calculating net income,
right?
Calculating, CapEx, calculating cash on cash return. I did everything by hand. Wow. I did that because I wanted to fully understand. Now there's calculators to calculate that now, and so those are the numbers that I made sure initially is calculating rental income. What can I get for rent for each of the units, and then what are going to be my monthly expenses.
Right.
Your mortgage, if you're going to do property management, just understanding what those expenses are going to be.
Got you. Now, if somebody has poor credit, not a lot of money, no idea what they're doing, but they know for sure that they want to start real estate investing, do you think that you can take that person from zero to closing their first property?
I can take them based on my experience. And I started out not the best credit.
Right.
Didn't have all the money in the world and didn't have experience. So if I can do that, I believe anybody can. And it really just takes a matter of doing each of the steps. Okay. Credit is repairable. You can fix your credit.
Right.
It's understanding what is your credit. First, you got to look at your credit. You can't be afraid to look at your credit. You gotta monitor it. What is your credit?
Yep.
And fix it. Next thing with income, I took a portion of my salary every month and put a portion to savings. I didn't touch it. I actually put it in a CD. I didn't want to touch it at all. That's what I took to actually put my down payment on my first property. Nice. So it's being very disciplined. You're going to have to spend some weekends where you're not going out. You're going to have to, change your habits.
Right.
I remember getting rid of a whole bunch of unnecessary memberships and recurring payments.
Right.
You got to comb through your expenses and understand how do you save. And then knowledge is learnable. Like I said, take the time. You might be very busy. And I was very busy. So I understood, I might not have time to read a book. Let me listen to a podcast, listen to something YouTube. I could multitask, get things done, and still do that. So
you could figure it out.
Yeah. So I could definitely, give from my experience what that was.
We're gonna have to talk about that after this. Now, you talked about some mindset shifts that you had to make. So I think that a lot of people have limiting beliefs, but don't even realize that they have limiting beliefs. Some people look at things that are expensive and say, "Oh, I can't afford that." When really that's not what you should be saying to yourself. You should shift that mindset to something else. So what was one of the mindset shifts around money that you had to make in order to, grow to another level financially?
I think the biggest thing for me was that debt was good.
Debt was good.
Debt is good.
Hey, debt is good. Okay.
At first I couldn't wrap my head around it. I'm like, you want to pay everything off? When you're thinking about, especially when I had to fix my credit, I was paying everything down. So looking at debt, it was hard to wrap my mind around gaining more and more debt.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to learn that it's good. It allows you to leverage so that you can get more money. And the way to look at debt to determine if it's good is, what can that debt make you? What is that return? At minimum, just think about if you had your money in a savings account.
Right.
At max, maybe you can make a high yield savings account maybe for 4%. But if your debt can make you over 10%, 15%, 20%, 25% return on investment, that's good leverage of your debt.
Right.
And I had to shift my mindset on that. I think in the beginning, it was a little bit hard for me to wrap my mind around that.
Well, that's very powerful, because debt is scary. That is a word that a lot of people are, afraid of, because of those things that you mentioned. It's like, well, I'm trying to pay everything off. I'm trying to be debt free. But if your debt is making you money, then is it really debt, or is it just, a tool, like you said,
Exactly.
a leverage? But that's pretty good. So what are some of the financial backings, or some of the ways that people can access funding to start real estate investing? I know hard money loans, things like that. What are some of those funding strategies?
So, funding, obviously your mortgage. So your lender is going to tell you what options you have to qualify for a property. There's a whole bunch of different strategies that you can do. Then outside of that, when you're talking about your own money, you can look into leveraging lines of credit. So you can open up a business, and then you can get a line of credit. My first line of credit was with Wells Fargo for $10,000. And then, American Express, was my next line of credit, and so on. So it's looking at lines of credit. I also leverage my credit cards for materials.
Right.
So you can, again, build the relationships with the companies that you already have accounts with.
Right, for sure.
They see how much money you have coming in, how much savings you have. So that's the easiest way to start, is knowing the banks you already have a relationship with. Ask them, what are some options for credit cards? What are some options for lines of credit?
Okay, got you. Now, what is your take? I'm always interested to ask real estate investors this, because it gives me a thought into, a peek into their thought process. So what is your take on owning versus renting the house that you live in, or the place that you live in?
So I've never rented before. And the reason is because owning was, to me, the opportunity to increase my net worth. So renting is okay to do, but it's not the route that I wanted to take for myself. I think renting makes sense when you have to rent and you need somewhere to live. You're not too sure, how to begin into owning, or when it's not when you're not finding good deals and what you're looking for, then renting might be the route that you go. Owning, to me, made sense because, like I said, my first option was I was going to buy my long-term home.
Right.
And owning, to me, was, this is a step for me to get to increasing my net worth, making money, as well as, increasing my net worth for the next step. So it's just something that worked for me. And I don't think there's necessarily a right or wrong, but renting, if you're paying someone rent, it's not really going anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
At least the money that I've paid towards my mortgage, I can take out equity from, a home equity line of credit. And that money, I can take it to buy something else, versus if I decided to just rent, I wouldn't have anything to then go back and invest into something else.
Right, playing 4D chess over there. Now, what are some mistakes that you see investors make? Because I know there are tons of them, but what are some of the most common ones, and how can they avoid making those mistakes?
They didn't do their numbers, or they did their numbers for best case scenario.
Damn.
Do not, I mean, it's great to be optimistic, but always do worst case scenario when you're doing your numbers. If I was to get the lowest rents,
Mm-hmm.
if I was to, not make money for 2, 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
can I still make money on this deal?
Mm-hmm.
Don't take your very last dollar. At least for me, I would say I was going a little bit more safe where I made sure I'd have some savings
Mm-hmm.
because things do go wrong and they did go wrong for me.
Yeah.
I did ended up needing to fix more things than I planned for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I did have to go through and utilize my investments. I invested in stocks and like
Right.
Tesla and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And I had to go back and use my investments to pay down some of my credit card debt.
Mm-hmm.
So it's having backups, have extra lines of credit cards,
Mm-hmm.
savings. Make sure you put all the safety nets in place for
Mm-hmm.
things that can go wrong and will go wrong.
That is great advice. That is great advice because, like you said, things go wrong all the time,
Yeah.
and it's just like, damn. It's like you didn't see this coming, but now you got to deal with it. And I know that a lot of times hard money loans and construction loans, they put a contingency in there, but sometimes that contingency don't cover those emergencies. So that is great advice. Now I want to kind of pivot a little bit into some more fun questions, so we don't have to be so serious all the time. Even though this is a topic that is very very needed. Now I want to ask you some this or that questions, okay? And you can tell me, just based on your experience or what you want to see for yourself, which one you would choose, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so first one, I think I know your answer, but fix a flip or buy and hold?
Buy and hold.
Buy and hold? Okay, duh, obviously. All right, multifamily or single family?
Multifamily.
Multifamily, okay. Well, obviously you're in residential, but residential or commercial?
So residential for me.
But
But commercial depends on what you want to do for commercial. Because if you want to do a business, commercial might be your route for you. So
right, and I think it's over. I don't know how many units. Once you cross over like 5 or 6 units, it's commercial, right? Because I know,
yeah.
Okay, so gotcha. All right, cash flow or appreciation?
I like cash flow.
Really?
I like cash flow. I know because I think about the long term. I don't plan on selling my properties anytime soon.
Okay,
So I know
gotcha.
it's already going up in value,
Right.
but it's like
Yeah,
the cash flow.
yeah. That's years later. You worry about that later. All right, big city or suburbs
To live in,
to invest in?
to invest in. I personally like suburbs
Okay.
because I think that a lot of times they have good schools,
True.
and that's a big driver for why somebody wants to pick live in the property.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Yes, it is a lot more. I guess a lot more. I guess I guess you can say safe in the suburbs,
Yeah.
and you kind of know what you're gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
It's stable. All right, leverage or all cash as far as funding your deals.
Leverage. I don't want
Leverage.
to use my money as much as possible.
Okay. All right. Networking events or solo deal hunting.
Where you're going in with the partners.
Yeah.
and I have not gone in with partners before, so I would say solo.
Really? Would you ever consider that?
I'm open to it. I just haven't figured out ways to kind of structure it.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to buy a whole apartment complex, that's probably something you would partner on?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
something
gotcha.
that you want to partner on.
Got you. Okay. I think I know this one. Risk taker or play it safe?
Risk taker. for
Risk
sure.
taker. Okay. I thought you were going to play it safe.
I'm risk taker, but calculated risk taker.
Yeah, okay. Calculated risk. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Numbers first or gut feeling?
Numbers. The numbers got to make sense.
Okay.
Yeah, you could love a property, it could be beautiful, everything, but if the numbers don't make sense, don't do it.
Have you ever had a gut feeling telling you no, but the numbers telling you yes?
A gut feeling where the numbers are telling me yes.
Yeah, but the gut feeling is saying no.
Yeah, like the numbers might make sense, but the area just wasn't really doing it for me.
Mhm.
And I couldn't sell
Couldn't do it.
myself on it.
Okay. All right. Interesting. All right. kitchen remodel or bathroom remodel? Which ones do you think bring the biggest returns?
Um, Kitchen first,
Hmm.
because I think people look at the kitchen a little bit more, but the bathroom is almost just as important.
All right,
So it's real close.
gotcha. Open floor plan or traditional layout?
I love open. I love
Yeah,
modern.
yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like people are going back to the traditional nowadays.
Yeah.
You think? Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I've been hearing. Cause I heard, like my aunt was telling me this. She was like, she does a lot in the kitchen, and the living room's right there. It's all open, and she's like, you know what? Sometimes I just want to be away from the kitchen. I don't want to look at the kitchen right now. All right. New construction or old charm?
The houses I have are older,
Mm,
so when it comes to rental property, it's okay to get an older house
mm.
to get a better deal where the numbers make sense.
All right.
But I'm looking at new construction now too.
Oh
So
yeah. So new construction, multi units or single family?
I'm a multi-unit
But
girl.
all multi. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Excuse me. No, I'm just kidding.
Hmm.
All right. Painted white or bold colors?
Plain white.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like colors
Colors.
to add some feeling to it, but nothing too bold.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're looking at modern homes, they got the blacks, the grays.
Right.
You still want to make it feel like they can make it their place.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know for a while it was that all white everything. That was like
He's some
that was the
flavor
thing,
to it.
right? Yeah, yeah. It's kind
Yeah.
of stale, kind of stale. So you've done the work. I mean, you've built the portfolio. You've actually done it. You're building an empire. Like I said, right before our eyes. What's next for you?
So what's next is new construction.
No,
I
okay.
want to do new construction and, buy the land,
Mhm.
build a property that ideally, again, I could do the same multifamily strategy. And I think right now the market is very competitive, and new construction is the next step.
Mhm.
There's less competition because it's a little bit more um, skills that you need to have.
Mhm.
So that's my next route.
Gotcha. So you want to buy the land, you want to build it, you want to build it from the ground up.
Yeah.
I think that you'd be great on that. So what markets are you investing in currently? I know you have a lot of people invest in their backyard. Some people invest remotely. How about you? What's your thing?
Delaware market.
Delaware market. Okay.
Yeah.
How's that market been? Well, I guess would you know about the market of Atlanta? You're pretty familiar with it.
I'm getting familiar with the market of Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
but I would say most of my knowledge is in Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
But then the new construction, I'm looking in Atlanta.
Okay, nice. Now, how is the market in Delaware? Is it pretty hot?
The market in Delaware, because Delaware is small,
Mm-hmm.
at the time when I was buying, the numbers made better sense. But
Right.
now that there's such a small inventory and the demand has gone up, the prices has gone up.
Mm.
So I'm looking outside of Delaware.
Okay. And how many properties do you own, if you don't mind us knowing?
I have 2 properties. I
Mhm.
have a triplex and a duplex,
Right. So that's what, 5 doors?
5 doors.
Okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. You've pretty much gotten the hang of that. You ready for your next venture?
Yes.
I know you said the new construction. Is that something that we could see in 2026?
You guys will see.
Okay,
Yes.
we'll see. All right. Now, I want to say this on camera because I don't know if anybody has told you this. How much time we got? Yeah, we got time. I don't know if anybody has told you this, but I think that you would be a great real estate coach. I think you should have your own mentorship program and you should teach people how to do this. Because it's people that ain't doing it, that never did it out here teaching people. But you actually have the knowledge, you have the experience, and I think that you could do that. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm always open to mentorship.
Mhm.
I genuinely enjoy helping people.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime that somebody comes to me for help, like that makes me feel good.
Right.
So I haven't thought about an actual program yet, but I think as I get into my new ventures, there's going to be more people that are going to inquire. And I think just understanding what people's needs are is what I'll create in the future.
Right.
But as of right now, if anybody wants to like reach out to me on any questions, I've been doing problem solving in terms of and understanding risk. Like that is literally my forte for 10 years now, and I have experience in real estate, so I'm good at just looking at your like the picture of what you have going on and saying like this is feasible, this is not feasible, what are the risks here, and helping to assess that. So feel free to reach out to me on the Maya Makia.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say this away from the mic.
Okay.
Now, is there anything you want to say to the people before we get out here? This is a great conversation, a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, and I'm just soaking it in. Being a real estate investor myself, I'm a little jealous. I ain't gonna lie, but it's all good. I'm gonna catch up to you. But is there anything you want to let the people know before we get up out of here?
I want to let the people know that you can do it. Like if I did it, you can do it. Don't let anybody tell you that you have to quit your job to be able to invest in real estate. My job pays very well, so I keep that as well. So if you want to do that and start investing, you can. If you want to quit your job and start, you can. There's not a one size fits all. It's just a matter of getting the knowledge to start and just starting. You don't have to know everything.
Right. Yeah. Amen. Well, listen, Mike, thank you so much for coming. This was a great conversation. You know, once you start, getting into the Atlanta market, make sure you hit us up. You come back. We're going to talk about it again and start that coaching program.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And we are out.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.